And good evening once again. The hour of 7 o'clock having arrived, I'd like to call to order this second public hearing for this evening. Tonight's topic for the hearing will be an ordinance dealing with small cell wireless facilities, which would be a zoning ordinance, and I'll turn things over to Councilor Clancy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We have another public hearing tonight, beginning right now. Per the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, we have to hold a hearing. So Borough Council shall hold this public hearing tonight, Thursday, December 10th at 7 p.m. for the purposes of receiving public comment on two proposals. The first is a zoning text amendment to Article XXIV 24, additional requirements for specific uses, and Chapter 255, zoning ordinance relating to small cell wireless communication facilities. And then we also have an accompanying small wireless communications facility design manual. So with that, I will throw it over to Mike Skelly for a brief overview, and then we'll open it up to public comment.
Good evening, all. Sorry. Just having a bit of technical issues. There we go. Good evening, all. So the report you have in front of you for tonight is the hearing outlines staff's position on the draft amendment, also the design guideline. Looking at it, obviously, we do not have any issues. It'll be a major change from what is proposed or written in the zoning ordinance right now. This will allow for small cells throughout the borough in all zones. And in addition to providing that, we have additional design criteria that's included in both the draft ordinance and also the design guidelines. Both the firm that designed it, looked at Cohen Law Group, spent quite a bit of time. I've seen very similar ordinances in other municipalities, so I don't think we're doing anything different. If anything, I think because of our unique character, this will suit us quite nicely with the historic downtown. That, at least from staff's end, I don't have any further comments beyond what you see in the report. I don't know if you would like to ask similar questions to Keith Brenneman for his comments, but that's really it for my end.
Thank you very much, Mike. Keith, I see you unmuted. Do you have any comments?
No, I just unmuted to let you know I have no comments. I think Mike covered it thoroughly, and it was done by Cohen Law Group, who are recognized experts in this particular area of the law. So I'm very comfortable with its content.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mike, for all your work on this, and as well as Keith for your review and for those comments. I'll open it up now. Are there any members of the public that have any comments, questions, or concerns?
It appears no.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions, comments, or concerns from council? All right, seeing none, hearing none. Thanks again, Keith and Mike, for your work on this, and I will adjourn this public hearing. Oh, you're on mute, Mr. Mayor.
You'd think after 9 months I'd be used to this by now. But anyway, thank you, Councilor Clancy, for that presentation. And we will now move into and I will adjourn this meeting, this hearing, and we'll call to order the December 10th Council meeting.
Sure.
And we will begin this evening with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Landis.
A little bit of garlic.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. So I've had a lot on my mind today. My first close family member tested positive for COVID yesterday, not in my immediate household, but someone very close to me all the same, and someone who wears their mask but is an essential worker, doing the best they can. And today I heard in 2 different calls an array of overwhelming numbers from the voices of our local nonprofit orgs battling this virus and its rippling effects. The other numbers I saw online, 12,010 Pennsylvanians have died from COVID-19. The Sentinel reported 157 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 in Wednesday's report. Of those, 28 are in the ICU and 20 are on ventilators. The numbers continued. and I couldn't write them down fast enough, and you would tune them out probably if I kept going anyway. Every number is a person. So maybe we could start to refocus on them. Not only the ones who are suffering from infections, though. I heard the voices of exhausted, devoted nonprofits, working in public health, homeless advocacy, first responders, food banks, youth development, all begging, pleading for all of us to do just the bare minimum. Stay home if we can, wear a mask, support their work. This isn't political. We aren't trying to deny freedoms. We want to preserve life and to help people working tirelessly to keep the hospitals running, to keep people alive. I'll end tonight with 2 quotes from people who spoke today on the front lines of this, who work quietly, literally night and day, to do the work barely anyone sees, but impacts so many, who are pleading with you to take this seriously and make their work a tiny bit less bleak. We're the carriers. We're the enablers. And then this simple but incredibly powerful statement, I need help. And so I ask, so let's stop enabling and please start helping. Support each other, wear the mask, stay home this holiday so we can have so many future holidays with our loved ones. Thank you.
And now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Landis. Well said. Next, we move on to opportunity for citizens to be heard. Members of the public and visitors may address Borough Council at this time on specific issues of concern relating to borough government. This is a public meeting and we always welcome your questions, comments, and suggestions. Those individuals who called ahead and requested to be on the agenda will be called upon first. All others will be recognized by raising their hand in the virtual chat. If you are here for a specific agenda item, you may hold your comments until that item is brought up, or you can address the issue now. It is your choice. Stephanie, do we have anyone in the chat?
We do not.
All right, going once, going twice. Okay, thank you very much. Moving now to the consent agenda. The following is a list of routine items which do not appear to be controversial in nature and which probably do not require additional discussion. They can be acted on by one motion in the current form. If discussion is desired on any particular item, any member of council or the public may request that that item be removed from the consent agenda and that item will be considered separately. Is there any member of council that would like to move an item from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? Okay. Any member of the public? Hearing none, I will go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Schultz. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Deb Fulham Winston. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And if you're following along at home, that is everything on page 1. So now moving on to page 2, the regular agenda. I do not believe there are any tabled, continued, or recurring items. Is that correct, Madam Secretary?
That is correct, Mayor Scott.
Thank you so much. Moving into reports from elected officials, mayor's report. I asked for a motion to adopt a resolution recognizing Community Cares for its contributions to the Carlisle community.
So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Schultz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you very much. Discussion.
Mayor Scott,
Yes.
I'd like to announce that we do have Beth Kemp with us this evening from Community Cares. So I don't know if you wanted to invite her in to say a few words or not at this time.
Absolutely. Beth, welcome. We won't keep you long. Please, you're welcome to comment on this, and this is richly deserved.
Well, thank you all so very much. And I can say easily on behalf of all of the community care staff and volunteers and our board. We very much appreciate the support of the borough now, but always. And we are glad to do our part in the community, and we are so thankful for a borough council and just a community that extends their arms so freely. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Beth. We'll make sure you get a copy of this resolution to show you, to show your staff.
Absolutely.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to, if I could just say a couple quick words, because I'm thinking back to the beginning of this pandemic, when I was wearing a mask sitting in Borough Manager Armstrong's office when Community Cares was in some crisis, not knowing where the homeless would be sheltered. And we had Beth on the phone, and Beth, it seems so long ago, you and your volunteers and staff have been struggling mightily to serve the homeless in our community and throughout the county in a lot of ways. And I have this image of you all as deep sea divers who no one gave any scuba gear to, diving deep to try to save people, and then coming up for air when you can. So I hope as 2021 rolls around, you have the opportunity to come up for air for quite some time and finally catch your breath. In the meantime, I hope this small token of a resolution at least provides a small recognition of the enormous job that you've done over these many months.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And
Very much.
you are part of the team. Any further discussion on this? All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just a point of order here. Would it be useful to call the roll so that when we add up all the yeas, they come up with the right fraction?
That's true. Good point. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll for that last item?
Yes, sir. Mr. Clancy,
Here.
Ms. Fulham Winston,
Here.
Mr. Hicks,
Here.
Ms. Landis,
Here.
Mr. Schultz,
Here.
Mayor Scott,
Here.
and Mr. Stubbe.
Here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get so excited. I forget sometimes. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate it. All right, now let's go back to the resolution and I'll call the question for that. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. It'll be recorded twice. Okay. All right, now for our next resolution, I'll turn things over to Councilor Fulham Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to read our resolution, a resolution affirming our faith and trust in the integrity of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Bureau of Commissions, Elections, and Legislation, and the public servants committed to protect it. Whereas, of the 14 winning candidates in our recent election, 3 are of the Democratic Party and 11 are of the Republican Party. This includes President Joseph Biden, Democrat, Vice President Kamala Harris, Democrat, Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro, Democrat, Pennsylvania Auditor General Timothy DeFore, Republican, Pennsylvania Treasurer Stacey L. Garrity, Republican, Pennsylvania 10th Congressional District Scott Perry, Republican, Pennsylvania Congressional District 13 John Joyce, Republican, Pennsylvania 31st Senatorial District Mike Regan, Republican, Pennsylvania 86th Assembly District Perry Stambaugh, Republican, Pennsylvania 87th Assembly District Greg Rothman, Republican, Pennsylvania 88th Assembly District Cheryl Delosier, Republican, Pennsylvania 92 Assembly District Don Kiefer, Republican, Pennsylvania 193rd Assembly District Torrin Ecker, Republican, Pennsylvania 199th Assembly District Barb Gleim, Republican. Whereas those who continue to contest these results are not protecting our democracy. They are harming it and the fundamental institutions upon which our nation was founded. And whereas that given that we are in the midst of the worst public health crisis since 1918, with over 280,000 deaths nationwide, 11,000 deaths in Pennsylvania alone, and many more suffering from post-COVID-19 syndrome since early 2020, it is time to work together for the betterment of all residents of the Commonwealth, our county, and our borough. Now, therefore, be it resolved, as elected members of Carlisle Borough Council, we affirm that the vote counts for all of these candidates were accurate and without bias, as confirmed by the Cumberland County Elections Bureau, the County Commissioners of Cumberland County sitting as the Board of Elections, and the Pennsylvania Secretary of State on November 24th, 2020. Be it further resolved, we implore all public servants to cease their baseless claims against the integrity of our most fundamental democratic institution and get down to the business of governing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Fulham Winston. Very well said. Very good points raised. I believe you've made a motion. I'll call for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Any further discussion, comments?
I would like to add one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
I just want to add that one of the members of the Pennsylvania State Assembly who joined a resolution disputing the 2020 election results personally accepted my congratulations 2 days after the election with not a hint of doubting its legitimacy. Many of the representatives who are disputing the legitimacy of the election also approved the changes to election rules in the wake of the nation's biggest health crisis in a century. That leads me to conclude that they are impugning the integrity of our election officials. And I find that to be more than objectionable, but it's disgraceful. I look forward to approving this resolution as an unfortunate but necessary step to reaffirm the most basic tenet of our system of government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Anything further? All right, seeing none, I will call the question. Madam Secretary, let's do a roll call for this as well, if you please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Clancy?
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Ms. Landis?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mayor Scott?
Aye.
And Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. All right, moving on to reports from committees. Budget and Finance, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I begin my motions, I'd like to take a moment to thank Borough staff, starting with the Borough Manager, Assistant Borough Manager, and Finance Director, but really including all of staff from top to bottom. I mentioned during our budget meetings that the effort that is put forth each year to produce the budget that we're voting on tonight is not something that starts in October and ends in December. It's a year-long process, and especially in this year where so many obstacles were thrown before staff, they have managed to do, I think, an amazing job putting together this budget. We have a budget that has no change to our current real estate tax rates. There's no change to sewer rates. There's no change to the trash bag rates. There's an increase in water rates of 3.42%. And that's in great part to ensure that we have the infrastructure long-term that we need to get water to folks' homes. And I think it was a Herculean effort by staff to make this happen this year. And I'd like to recognize them for what they did. We can pat ourselves on the back for helping to put them all in the places they're in, but they deserve all congratulations for this budget this year. So I thank you all for this. So with that, I'll move on to the duties of the committee. I move that council take the following actions regarding the adoption and implementation of the 2021 budget. A, approve the 2021 budget resolution. I'll do this piece by piece. So a motion to approve the 2021 budget resolution.
Mr.
So
Schultz,
moved.
there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Tell you what, I think half of us are all just a little bit off. We're forgetting the roll call, and
Yeah.
it's the Steelers' loss. I think that kind of threw us off last week.
Yeah.
Next, I move the council adopt an ordinance setting the 2021 real estate tax rates for general purposes and fire service appropriations.
Mr. Schultz makes a motion to set the 2021 real estate tax rates. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call. Madam Secretary, if you please.
Mr. Clancy,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman Winston, Mr. Hicks,
Aye.
Ms. Landis.
Aye.
Mr. Schultz.
Aye.
Mayor Scott
Aye.
and Mr. Stubbe.
Aye.
And did we get Deb? I didn't hear her.
Yeah, Deb, excuse me, your vote would be?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right, there you go. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
And next, I move that council adopt an ordinance increasing the water rates.
Deputy Mayor Schultz makes a motion to increase the water rates. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? This will also be a roll call vote. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Clancy,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman Winston,
Aye.
Mr. Hicks,
Aye.
Ms. Landis,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mayor Scott,
Aye.
and Mr. Stubbe.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-1.
Okay, thank you. I move that council approve a total care support contract with Hinton and Associates for information technology network support for a one-year period effective January 1, 2021, subject to the Borough Solicitor's satisfactory review and approval.
Deputy Mayor Schultz makes a motion to approve a contract with Hinton and Associates. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
I move that council enter into contracts with R&D Cleaning Services LLC to provide janitorial services for the borough facilities, Borough Hall, Public Works Garage, Stewart Community Center, and the Police Department. The contract shall be for a one-year period effective January 1, 2021, pending solicitor approval.
Deputy Mayor makes a motion to approve a cleaning janitorial services contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Finally, I move that council approve the temporary funding of $150,000 from the general fund to the solid waste fund to help cover funding requirements related to cash flow delays.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor makes a motion to approve a temporary fund transfer. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item?
That may seem like an odd one to the public, so I'll just quickly explain that one. Under our, I'll say trash hauling contract, we owe amounts to the hauler. We receive revenues from the vendors who sell our trash bags. There's sometimes a little delay in those revenues. So this covers that gap until the revenues come in.
Thank you for that clarification. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Community planning and smart growth up next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have a few items tonight. My first item is I'll make a motion that Borough Council may approve the submission of the Borough of Carlisle's Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation, or the CAPER, a requirement of the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program for the period covering July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Mr. Clancy makes a motion to approve the submission of the borough's CAPER. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Next, I'll make a motion that Borough Council may consider adopting a zoning ordinance text amendment to Article XXIV, additional requirements for specific uses, Chapter 255 zoning ordinance relating to small cell wireless communication facilities, and furthermore approve an accompanying small wireless communications facility design manual.
Thank you. Mr. Clancy makes a motion to adopt a zoning ordinance text amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? This was a subject of a public hearing that we had about a half an hour ago. All those in favor, please signify by saying, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, if you please.
Mr. Clancy,
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston,
Aye.
Mr. Hicks,
Aye.
Ms. Landis,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mayor Scott,
Aye.
and Mr. Stubbe.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And then my last item, I'll break out into three separate parts. It's dealing with a final land development plan for lots 1 and 2 for Carlisle Auto Industries. So first, I'll make a motion that Borough Council may approve a waiver for the submission of a preliminary land development plan for lots 1 and 2 for Carlisle Auto Industries Retail 226-19.
You. Mr. Clancy makes a motion to approve a waiver for the submission of a preliminary land development plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Okay, and then next I'll make a motion that Borough Council may approve a waiver for restriction of only one driveway access per road frontage for Lot 1, 226-24.K.3.F.
He makes a very specific motion to approve a waiver. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And finally, I'll make a motion that Borough Council may approve a final land development plan for lots 1 and 2 for Carlisle Auto Industries Retail prepared by BL Companies dated September 11th, 2020, subject to the applicant's acceptance and satisfactory resolution of all staff considerations, including the applicant entering into an agreement acceptable to Borough Council addressing the extension of A Street.
All right, Mr. Cranston makes a motion to approve a final land development plan on behalf of Carlisle Auto Industries. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That ends my report.
Thank you very much. Economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one item this evening, and I move that Borough Council schedule a public hearing on Wednesday, January 6, 2021 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of considering a request by 7-Eleven Sales Corporation to permit the inter-municipal transfer of a restaurant liquor license from Lemoyne Borough to the Borough of Carlisle. The proposed location of the licensee is 1003 South Hanover Street, Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks makes a motion to schedule a public hearing for a liquor license, intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries.
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Great. All right, public safety. I move that council adopt an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Carlisle to create a pilot program to decriminalize the possession of a small amount of marijuana, the smoking of a small amount of marijuana in a public space, and the possession of marijuana paraphernalia. I will go ahead and make the motion, ask for a second, and then turn things over to Councilor Stube for discussion purposes.
I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hicks. And Mr. Stube, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to start by thanking members of our community, borough staff, and my colleagues on council for their input on this proposed ordinance. I appreciate the discussion we've had, and while I know this ordinance is not a perfect solution and that it does not solve all of the issues created by the criminalization of cannabis, I do think it is a step in the right direction. I'd also like to point out that action to reform outdated cannabis laws has wide public support. A recent Pew study found that 2/3 of Americans support legalizing cannabis for adult use, including majority of Democrats and majority of Republicans. This is shown true at the ballot box with voters in conservative states like South Dakota and Montana, in a moderate state like Arizona, and in a liberal state like New Jersey, all overwhelmingly approving ballot measures to legalize cannabis this year. Last week, the United States House of Representatives passed legislation to decriminalize cannabis throughout the country. And in Pennsylvania, the governor and lieutenant governor are calling on the state to legalize cannabis. Ultimately, this is an issue that extends beyond the bounds of our border, of the borough. And while we vote on this ordinance tonight, action by the state government and the federal government is still needed. It's time for us as a society to reconsider how we treat this issue. It is time for us to reform our failed and outdated cannabis laws. Thank you. And with that, I will open it up to any comments from anyone in attendance, either virtually or in person at Borough Hall that would like to speak on this matter.
Yes, I would like to speak.
Thank you, sir.
So I am heavily against this proposal. I think it is not the best thing for our community. I've seen firsthand how drug use, including marijuana, has affected people in this town. A friend of mine has an addiction so badly that he cannot hold a job whatsoever. He has recently been contemplating suicide because he has been heavily reliant on marijuana. I've experienced seeing it all across town, outside alibis, constantly when that was open. I don't believe that morally or ethically it is good for the community. This council a few years back disapproved of a casino being put into this town because of fears that gambling would add to the already drug problem. And now you want to decriminalize a drug, which I find to be reprehensible.
Thank you for your input, sir. Is there anyone else in attendance, either virtually or in person at Borough Hall, that would like to speak on this subject?
We do have a gentleman coming to the podium.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, if you could please give us your name and address for the record before you begin.
My name is Luke Enzer. I'm not a resident of the borough. I'm here as a representative of the Capital Area Libertarian Committee. I was invited to come by Councilman Jeff Stube. I just wanted to say that, sorry, I'm not really good for public comment and kind of nervous.
Take your time, sir.
Basically, the Capital Area Libertarian Committee has unanimously endorsed this ordinance. The bottom line that we have to consider is, what role do we want government to have? Do we want it to be acting as our parents and have the power to fine, arrest, and jail us for personal decisions? The gentleman before me said that that gave a very tragic story of somebody who is experiencing some very detrimental effects of drugs, and that is a very serious concern. The problem is, it is not a concern that government action has been shown to help with, and in fact, it makes it worse because this is happening in the face of prohibition of this drug federally. More to the point, look at the people whose lives are destroyed by the prohibitions because of they have some marijuana and they are arrested, jailed for decades at a time. And I don't see how that in any way is helping this gentleman's friend to solve his problem, which he obviously needs help, but it is not the role of government to do that by threatening the rest of us for choosing to ingest something. Thank you.
Sir, did we get your name and either a business address or home address? I don't think we did. If not, if Stephanie, if you could give that to Joyce before he goes. And I also forgot to get the address of Mr. Menino as well.
He's still on the call. I can unmute him if you'd like. Here you go.
Okay. Yeah, just so.
Unmute your Tyler.
Yeah, Mr. Menino, it's our custom to address for anyone that speaks
Sure.
as part of our public comments, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's on Forbes Road. Do I have to give the full address?
No.
Forbes Road in Meeting House Heights.
All right, thank you very much.
Am I able to speak further upon the subject in response to the previous gentleman or no?
If we get into a back and forth, this could go on all night. So, because then of course he'll want to speak.
Right.
And then, you know, where does it end?
Right.
We've got your comments. If you'd like to submit something in writing, we can also, we can always attach that to the minutes of the meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I also want to note, and unless Jeff, you're going to do that, you got about the written comments that we received. Were you going to?
Yes, I was just going to state that we did receive a number of written comments by email, some in support and some in opposition to this ordinance. And before turning it over to council for comment, is there anyone else in attendance, either in person or virtually, that would like to speak on this? Okay, I will then open it up to the rest of council for any of their comments, if anyone has anything they'd like to say.
I have one thing to add, Mr. Stubbe. I just want to say, I think this is a topic where I respect all sides and all opinions, and my vote tonight will be reflective of the distinction between legalizing and decriminalizing. And on the issue of decriminalization, there is not an ounce of doubt that the criminalization of marijuana has had a detrimental effect on our society. And we are not doing ourselves a favor to continue to criminalize what is in effect a problem that we can deal with in other ways. So I wanted to make sure everybody listening understands that this is not a motion to legalize, but to put this topic, to put this problem in the right context. Thank you, Councilor Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Is there anyone else from council that would like to speak on this?
Yes, I'll just add to that. First of all, thank you, Councilor Stubbe, for your work and your leadership on this. I'm supportive of this effort, but also want to commend the speakers that we heard tonight and the messages that we got of folks that had, I think, a productive dialogue, a civil dialogue, disagreement, but it was never hostile, which I think is always good discourse for local government. And I hope this move tonight, will provide potentially further movement in Harrisburg or potentially with the U.S. Senate. Not that our vote would change that, but maybe we can see some federal or state movement on an issue such as this. And then, as I mentioned in the past, as we move through this, any advocacy we can do on criminal justice reform relating to folks that have past penalties because they possessed a small amount of marijuana. So again, I'm supportive, and I wanted to thank you for your work on this.
Thank you, Councilor Cramsey. Is there anybody else from council that would like to speak? Okay, I believe we have a motion in a second, so I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Scott, for roll call on this.
Thank you, Councilor Stube. Yes, this will be a roll call. Madam Secretary, if you please.
Mr. Clancy,
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston,
Aye.
Mr. Hicks,
Aye.
Ms. Landis,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mayor Scott,
Aye.
and Mr. Stube.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for that. Moving on, Public Works.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor. I have one item for tonight. I would ask that Borough Council authorize the Borough Solicitor to draft and advertise an ordinance providing for the acceptance of a portion of the East Baltimore Street from South Spring Garden Street East to the borough's border with South Middleton Township and other public infrastructure constructed by Carlisle United Methodist Church as part of the Carlisle United Methodist Church Land Development Plan.
Thank you. Councilor Fulham Winston makes a motion to authorize the solicitor to draft and advertise an ordinance providing for the acceptance of a portion of East Baltimore Street to Spring Garden Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. And I believe that ends your report, Councilor Fulham Winston.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that completes my report.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to new business. This is the part of the meeting where those individuals who like to address council on any matter relating to borough government may do so at this time. Stephanie, is there anyone either in the chat or in person that would like to address council?
There's not.
Okay, thank you very much. Now move on to reports from council members and staff. We will begin with Deputy Mayor Schultz.
It was a strange, tough Thanksgiving, being away from our families. I'll tell you, I haven't seen my parents since February, and typically I see them much more frequently than that. Today we had an announcement from the governor that there would be additional restrictions, and so to really echo what Councilor Landis said earlier. Let's all do this together. Wear your masks, social distance. We need to get through these winter months and hopefully see hope on the horizon. I'll also note that I've known people who have been COVID positive. I've known several people who have had some significant complications now from that. It seems like this is creeping closer and closer to everybody I know. I've known 2 people now who have been on ventilators, and neither of them had any particular complications before contracting it. We need to all pitch together to defeat this together, and I'm hopeful that as we come up on the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, that people keep mindful that perhaps spending time in large groups could jeopardize the lives of those you care for very deeply, and think before you take such actions. So it's been a rough few weeks. It's been a rough few weeks for our borough family, and I just hope everybody keeps this in mind over the coming weeks.
Deputy Mayor Schultz, and we'll go now to public comment again. I missed someone. Tawanda Stallworth, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor Scott, Deputy Mayor Schultz, members of council. Good evening. I apologize, I wasn't able to comment earlier. I've got a laptop and a phone and a Facebook feed and being fancy streaming things. Way too many buttons. So I apologize for not getting this comment in earlier, but I did just want to make a note to say with regard to the decriminalization of cannabis, that for me, just my perspective that I know you all enjoy so much, that it's important for us to just be consistent in our messaging, right? So when when Councilor Cramsey talks about being retroactive and looking at the criminal justice reform on what some past actions may have been, that's a really important piece of that conversation, right? And being able to look at that through multiple lenses. So I think the public may see this as, decriminalizing cannabis, Councilor Hicks making the distinction that it's not legalization, right? These things are important, but our consistency, our consistence in our messaging, in the ways in which members of our community who have been adversely impacted by this enforcement in years past is a very big piece of this, and that cannot be glossed over. And how we look at this through multiple lenses. So what other ordinances are maybe out there that are being disproportionately enforced or disproportionately impacting people of color? Those things need to be examined also. And taking a look at this again through multiple lenses in a very global and sensitive perspective is something that I think is necessary and should be a part of the conversation. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you all.
Thank you. And speaking of consistency, Tawanda, can we have your address for the record, please?
Sure. Lower Swatara Township.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Moving back to reports from council members. Mr. Cramsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too wanted to touch on our current COVID situation. I think Councilor Landis and Councilman Schultz did a great job, and those are powerful statements that we heard from them. I was struck this afternoon at the governor's press conference when he announced these short-term mitigation efforts. A reporter did ask, why is government doing this to folks? And the governor's response is COVID is doing this, right? And I think that's important for all of us to keep in mind. I understand there's going to be folks that are frustrated and angry, but I ask that we do our best to direct that energy in solutions and less about finger pointing and making it political, and more about how do we work together to get through this. And building on that, I think for us in the Carlisle community, anything we can do, whether it be gift cards or curbside to go for our local businesses, visit the Chamber and DCA and Destination Carlisle's websites and see those businesses that we have out there, and then figure out how we can support them the best we can, especially during these next 3 weeks. Interact with our neighbors in a socially distanced way, and say, hey, I'm going to this restaurant to pick up food. Can I pick some up and leave it on your porch for you? Can I get you a gift card to this business? I think we all need to pull together and see any ways that we can support those folks. And then also, I just wanted to add, this being our last meeting of the year, in a year unlike any other, I wanted to thank our incredible staff, our amazing solicitor, Chief Landis, Chief Snyder, Fire, Police, EMS, the work that they've done that many in our community don't always get to see. But it's definitely noticed. No one can plan for a pandemic. And I think we are extremely lucky to live where we live and have the staff and the leaders that we have. And I'll just also add that this is the closing of the first year for Councilman Hicks and Councilman Stubbe. I get to work with some great colleagues. I think you would all agree, and I wanted to congratulate them on a year well done, and for their leadership throughout this year. We're really lucky to have them as well. Thanks.
And hopefully they'll come back next year. This won't scare them off, hopefully. So, all right. Thank you very much, Councilor Cramsey. Councilor Landis.
I mentioned earlier that I was on some calls today, but I do want to just make a note that there's the Community Action Network, Carlisle Community Action Network from, it was coordinated through Dickinson when President Ensign first came to help connect a lot of the nonprofits, and the nonprofits are connected through other calls and everything, but being able to sit on those calls throughout the last couple years has been really helpful and engaging and exciting to see the synergies, but it really came into its own this year. And I really am empowered to see how our nonprofits are individuals. It's not just, you know, organizations. It could be religious leaders or organizations or just folks that are just do-gooders. But how everyone really comes to the aid of each other and is supporting each other quietly. You know, it's not on the front page of the paper all the time, but it's refreshing, and it's really humbling to know that that is the community that we live in, and that the people don't need all the accolades and all the recognition, but they just do the work. And so it's I mean, I can't name them all. I mean, there's like 100 people on that call from a wealth of different organizations, which you would recognize every single one. But it's really been beautiful to see how much people care for each other and care about this community. So I hope that we can get out of this pandemic and continue to see what good work they can keep doing on other fronts. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you very much. Deb Fulham-Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Much like my colleagues, I think we are extraordinarily lucky to live in Carlisle. The people that have stepped up to be volunteers for our committees and for anything that the borough puts forward are all willing to help and willing to make this a better place to live. And the staff at Carlisle Borough is extraordinary. In a year of complete and utter craziness, they have done nothing but step up again and again and again to make sure that our streets are safe, our streets are paved and repaired. And well, we didn't have any snow last winter, so I don't, that really doesn't count. But that water main breaks are broken, you know, fixed immediately, and that everything keeps moving forward to make sure that every resident in this borough is served well. And I have nothing but praise for the staff of the entire borough for how they have stepped up and made this an extraordinary place. And I wish them only the best in the year coming forward and hope that they stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Continuing in my Brady Bunch squares, Jeff Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one item I'd like to bring up tonight, and it, I think, relates to what Ms. Stallworth raised. Ultimately, while we passed the cannabis decriminalization ordinance tonight, and as I mentioned in my comments, that's only a very small piece of a larger puzzle, and really action by the state government and federal government is needed on this issue, particularly as it relates to expunging prior cannabis-related convictions. That truly falls under the authority of the state government, and the burden is on them now to take action. So in tandem with approving the ordinance this evening, I would also like to draw council's attention to the draft letter that was shared in advance of this meeting, which calls on the state to take action on this issue. And I'd also like to commend Councilor Cramsey for suggesting that we write such a letter and take such action at last meeting. So if anyone has any questions about that letter, I'm happy to answer them, and I'll take this time to make a motion that Borough Council approve sending a letter to our state elected officials urging them to reform Pennsylvania's cannabis laws.
Thank you, Mr. Stubbe. Mr. Stubbe makes a motion to send a letter to our state level officials regarding decriminalization of cannabis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cramsey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report for this evening.
You're welcome. Mr. Hicks.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things tonight. I do want to reflect back to Ms. Stallworth's comment, and I don't think we can be reminded enough to be conscientious about our legacy of not being necessarily good public servants to all of our communities. To that point, I think it's absolutely critical that we evaluate the effects of our, in this case, our new strategy dealing with marijuana use. And I really want to applaud the borough manager and Chief Landis for being willing to collect data, for the next year to see what's going to happen here, and that this is this is an idea that deserves our attention, and if it deserves our attention, it deserves our evaluation. And I think everybody in the public safety area to be willing to evaluate how this goes forward. So I look forward after a year to seeing how this works out. And secondly, just wanted to say I think we had a really successful forum. Carla Borough was hosting the second part of a 3-part climate action forum series, and last Tuesday we had north of 60 people join us to share our experience about how we got to where we're at in our Climate Action Commission. All of the team leads did an outstanding job of explaining their strategies going forward. For those who don't know, this is a collaboration between the Cumberland Conservation Collaborative, South Mountain Partnership, Dickinson Center for Sustainability Education, the County of Cumberland, and of course our borough. And I just wanted to thank everybody, the team leads. I got to say them by name because they deserve it. Mohammed Badisi, Sarah Markowitz, Tony Underwood, and Carla Farrell. They did an outstanding job. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. That ends my comments.
Thank you, sir. And Ambassador Spear.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm very short on things to say this afternoon because it seems as though everyone has already said them. But I do have some good news that I wasn't able to share at our last meeting because it happened right after our last public meeting. Dickinson Law was awarded a Clio Edge Award on November 16th of this past month for our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in legal education. This was in large part due to the faculty's push to institute a new educational program around the issues of race and their intersection with the law. That program is still ongoing for our first-year students, and it will continue into the spring. It will be something that will be taught to all of our students as they come to Dickinson Law, and it's still open to our second and third-year students that might have missed it their first year because it wasn't yet a program. Our fellow awardees of that award, the Clio Edge Award, which is highly coveted amongst the legal profession, were attorneys Stacey Abrams, Barbara McQuaid, as well as the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. So we are in some good company with that award, and it speaks to the steps of commitment that we have taken as a law school to fix some of the racial injustices in this country through the legal lens. Right now, our school is in the middle of finals, so not a whole lot of events going on, and with the governor's new order, not much will be going on past that. We do plan to be back in person for the spring for limited in-person classes, but we will again be continuing this hybrid thing that everyone has been working through the past number of months. So I just want to echo then the comments of the rest of staff. Support your local businesses. My wife and I try to go out to dinner and get some food every once in a while, but most importantly right now, for a lot of people, they don't really like to eat in. They don't want to order to go at the moment. But if you support those local businesses, at least buy a gift card. That's the easiest way to support those businesses right now. It gives them cash flow right now in these dark winter months when they're going to definitely be needing it. So please consider that over the summer months for a stocking stuffer. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for sharing that information. And I would just like to announce that on December 4th, Council held an executive session. Topics discussed were items pertaining to personnel and land acquisition of real estate. And then I have a brief statement I'd like to make. Before the Thanksgiving holiday, Governor Wolf's administration stepped up its COVID-19 mitigation orders. These orders included business and gathering restrictions, as well as travel restrictions requiring individuals entering Pennsylvania to be tested or quarantined for 14 days. Despite these new efforts, the number of COVID-19 cases in Pennsylvania continues to climb at an alarming rate. The number of cases doubled to over 400,000 in just 6 weeks. Counties are currently seeing the highest positivity rate of the pandemic. Here in Cumberland County, we sit at a substantial positivity rate of 16.2. As the number of cases climbs, so does the number of hospitalizations. Over the past 7 days, average daily hospitalizations due to COVID-19 are up by 1,000, and the daily average of patients on ventilators has risen over 100. Hospitals are seeing crowded conditions and staff shortages. The healthcare system is in danger of being overwhelmed if steps are not taken to stop the spread of COVID. Every resident of Carlisle can help by doing their part. The following steps can make a big difference in preventing COVID from spreading even further. Please stay home unless absolutely necessary. When you must leave your home, wear a mask, practice social distancing. Most importantly, do not host or attend gatherings with people from outside your household. Council and I believe that taking these precautions protects our neighbors, family and friends, as well as our doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers. The more precautionary steps communities can take now to prevent the necessity of additional measures. And now we'll move on to reports from staff, and we'll start with our esteemed borough manager.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Thank you, everyone. Well, we're here. It's the end of 2020, and who would have thought it? So I just wanted to take a moment. First of all, special thanks to each of you, Borough Council, and our solicitor, Keith Brenneman, for your leadership and support this past year. It's been a year like no other, and we've hooked arms and we've been in it together. And I have to extend a very special thanks to the 120 employees that work here, non-uniformed and uniformed alike. I've had the utmost respect for each and every one of their jobs that they do. I very much enjoy going out to job sites and visiting them and I'm a visual learner and getting to learn about them as a person, but also the role that they play within the borough. And we have an amazing group of individuals here that each and every day, are here, understand what public service is about. And while I have the utmost respect for them every day, this past year especially, I just have to say, I applaud them for their resilience. We've tested them. We've, they've been on different shifts to keep them safe. We've asked certain things out of our department heads and our senior level staff and, the entire rank and file, and each and every time they have stepped up. So I just want to say my personal thanks to each and every one of them. And as far as the community goes and our borough organization, just want to, wish you all a very healthy and safe and happy and peaceful holiday season. And again, as Deb said, and I couldn't have said it any better, we live in a great community here. And I think through this pandemic, we've just shined, and just appreciate the honor of working for this community. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for those kind words. Solicitor Brenneman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo what Susan has said. It's a privilege and very rewarding to be part of such a wonderful team. And I consider myself a member of the borough staff. It's just wonderful working for such a borough and for such leadership. So I thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir. Police Chief Landis.
Wow, Keith Brenneman actually spoke.
I know.
Great rock climber. He speaks. First of all, I want to say thank you so very much to Manager Armstrong and the Borough Council for supporting the police department. Our officer that was on a ventilator is now in rehab, and so we're moving on. So any of you folks that don't think this thing is real, it is real. So, but thank you for your support. Also, the 21st of December, again, thanks to Manager Armstrong, the Black Ministers of Carlisle and Project Share and the CAN Group and a whole bunch of other people are giving out food on the 21st. After speaking to Manager Armstrong, we're going to be doing it at the police station. We have a tractor trailer full of food. So Mr. Spear, put on your big boy pants and come on out there and help unload this tractor trailer. We've got a lot of stuff that we've got to unload, and we're giving food out. We have the police chief from Newville and the police chief from Mount Holly are both going to take food to their station as satellites to give out food. It's sausage, bacon, eggs, staples that people would need during the holidays for those who are not as fortunate as we are. But again, Manager Armstrong allowed that to be that open door to be able to do that. And I just want to just say thank you to her. It allows us to be seen, the police department in particular, in a different light, along with the Black ministers, Project Share and everyone else. Again, thank you very much. And to each and every one of you, I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and think about what the season is all about. Take care.
Thank you, Chief. I believe you'll have some council members as well. I think your mayor is going to be there too. So hands make light work. So we'll be happy to join you.
That's very good, Mr. Mayor, because your mom is coming.
Yeah, which is why I'm going. So that's the secret. All right, community development, Mike Skelly.
Hi. No, I have no additional business, but I definitely, hopefully I think everyone's looking towards a more prosperous and hopeful 2020. So here's to hopefully 21, sorry. Yeah, but thanks again for everything this year. And hopefully good luck for everyone for the next 12 months.
Thank you, sir. Stephanie.
I'll just kind of say the same thing. Happy holidays, Happy New Year. I can't wait till I can see people not in these tiny little Zoom boxes and actually in person. So I'm looking forward to whenever that day will be.
You and me both. Okay. Owen.
I don't have anything, sir.
Okay. Public Works, Mark.
I'd just like to thank Council for the passage of the 2021 budget and your continuing support of rehabilitation of the borough's infrastructure. It means a lot to staff that you continue to support that. And just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Fire Chief Snyder.
No, sir, Mayor, no additional comments tonight.
Thank you, sir. Parks and Recreation, Andrea.
Hello. I do not have any additional comments either, but I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and stay safe.
Thank you. Richard, Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed working here. It's been quite a year, but I think we've done a great job, and I look forward to what 2021 has to bring, and hopefully just positive things.
Exactly. Thank you. Tom, HR. I think he's there because I think I heard him. If he's having technical difficulties. I actually ran into him in the parking lot last time. He said he was having technical difficulties. So we'll just chalk it up to that. And Joyce, you hardly ever get to talk unless you're calling the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, but I have no comment tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll just close it out by saying thank you to staff of the borough and especially my council colleagues. I enjoy the camaraderie and the cooperation. It really makes it easier to get through these very challenging times. So I'll just close it out by saying Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy Hanukkah. And we'll see everyone in the new year. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Happy holidays.